Who's financing the UNC's campaign? Where is the money coming from?
Does Mr. Manning tell you who's financing his campaign?
Well, campaign financing has been said to be an election issue.
It's an issue, but the people of this country are financing our campaign. The people of this country, the friends of this party. You know that Mrs. Bisesa was away recently in Miami raising funds, and every day the small man is in this country is
So how do you respond to the perception? There's a public perception that, oh gosh, is Jack Warner signing blank checks?
Well, they can have their perceptions, but we want to know, where is Mr. Manning getting the $150 million? Who's signing his blank checks? We want to know, for example, whether the big Shanghai companies are the ones financing his campaign. Tell us, Mr. Manning, you put a list out in the open for us and say, these are my finances.
But can you say that there are adequate systems in place to make sure that no money goes missing? We all know Mr. Pandey's allegations about 30 million, and all of that will go before the court, I'm sure, in due course. I understand there's some legal wranglings there. But are there adequate systems in place within the UNC right now to make sure that 30 million doesn't go missing again or whatever?
Our leader is impeccable when it comes to honesty, decency, and public trust. And I can guarantee you that she's doing everything and will do everything to ensure that that public trust that is being placed at her at this point in time. And I'll go beyond public trust. National trust is going to be maintained at the highest levels of integrity.
What's going on with Kamla Persad-Bissesa's image right now? A lot of people are saying or wondering whether it's intentionally being softened up a bit. We're hearing Celine Dion music being played. We're seeing a lot of speeches. People are saying that this is the Obama influence of these strategy people who have been brought in, and perhaps it's not as relevant as it should be, that she may have started off strong, but somewhere she's still trying to find her image for the platform.
I don't think so at all. Kamla Persad-Bissesa is Kamla Persad-Bissesa. Kamla Persad-Bissesa is a people's person. Kamla Persad-Bissesa is a humble person. Kamla Persad-Bissesa is a listener. And you are seeing Kamla Persad-Bissesa, the Kamla Persad-Bissesa, who people want as Prime Minister. So there's not going to be any put on, there's not going to be any particular imaging of Kamla Persad-Bissesa. The reason why the country is gravitating to her is because they can identify with her. They can identify with her emotions. They can identify with her as a mother, as a grandmother, as a sister, as a wife, in every aspect whatsoever. Kamla Persad-Bissesa identifies with every single person at the level in the society.
How much leeway does she have when it comes to actually planning the details of these meetings?
Kamla Persad-Bissesa is the one who at the end of the day signs off on everything.
Was there a song as Mr. Manning got on the platform and said something about Guinness and Punchin being played on the UNC platform?
Mr. Manning sounds like he really needs some Guinness and Punchin himself. He sounds punch drunk, if you may ask me, because of the number of irrational things that he's doing. His own party can't understand how he called an election. His own party was about to revolt on him. His wife says that he was under pressure. When a prime minister's wife can admit that my husband was under pressure and that's why he called an election, are you going to leave the country in such a man's hands who cannot stand up to pressure? Being in public office is about standing up to pressure. And you are yielding to pressure, and you suddenly collapse our government. And not once, but twice. 1995, you collapsed your government in 3 years and you lost. And you come back and you repeat the same thing. This man was never meant to be Prime Minister.
So let's go back to Guinness and Punchin. Was it played?
Played where?
Any song like Guinness and Punchin, or
Never.
Give me a Guinness and Punchin on the platform?
Never.
So are you saying that that's a categorical lie?
That's Mr. Manning's way of introducing some elements that he would like to see feature in the elections. Unfortunately, this country has gone beyond that. This country is not looking at those kinds of triviality. This country has transcended race and religion and status and class. This country is looking at competence. And the competent Prime Minister is Kamla Persad-Bissesa.
What do you think of the fact that those kind of allegations, if you say they're completely unfounded and untrue, can be made in such a public domain on a PNM platform?
It shows the extent to which Mr. Manning has to descend in order to survive. He has no message. That's the whole point of it. He has no message.
Let's talk now about manifestos real quick. We have, again, as we've just outlined them time and time again, about 4 at least, or 4 or 5 political parties here aligning themselves with the UNC.
Yes.
1 manifesto, 5? How is this happening?
We're going to have 1 manifesto. As of yesterday morning, we set a committee up and they began to meet, bringing all the ideas together. And what we discovered is that we had more commonalities than differences. And they are going to hammer out the manifesto within 2 to 3 days, because the material is there. So that everyone on the platform, whether it's one party or the other, they're going to be singing and talking from the same book. And that's how it's going to be. So it's going to be joint policy. emanating from the manifesto. So this is a government that would not have any confusion about what is the policy of this government going into office. So those are matters that will be resolved through the manifesto and the policy positions. And also we're going to be having joint campaign teams and joint platforms also.
You know, again, and I want to end the interview the way it started. People are again saying, look, Mr. Manning is building a case, the political analysts are building a case, everyone is building a case that alliances are superficial and weak, that alliances cannot work. Why do you think, again, tell people, because you're hearing it on the streets, you're hearing it in all the call-in programs, people are saying, how can we trust this alliance? Who exactly are we voting for? How do we know that it's not all going to fall apart?
It's not going to fall apart because of the person who heads all of this. It was the members of the coalition or the alliance who said unanimously, we want Kamla Persad-Bissessar to head this, and we are standing behind her, and made the commitments that it's going to last. Now remember this. Mr. Manning had a party that collapsed in '95. It collapsed again in 2010. So his parties are collapsing all the time. Why doesn't he explain to the population why he cannot hold his people together and why they keep collapsing around him all the time? Because he's not a leader. He's not a leader. He can lead when there's money to run around, but he has drained the treasury and he has no money again. And this is why he's in the position that he is. He cannot lead out of inspiration. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is an inspirational leader. This is why you go every part of the country and people are ready to follow Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Not Manning. Manning is out. Kamla is in.
All right, I want to thank you very much, UNC Deputy Political Leader, Dr. Suryajratan Rambachan, for joining us tonight here on Decision 2010. We're going to take a short commercial break. Stay with CNC3.